I think this was my first or second year of practice, and I was assigned a case just to write an opinion or a memo on the law, because this guy wanted to figure out if what he was doing was, legal or if it violated a penal code section, which pun totally intended. Thank you. And so essentially he comes in and we're talking and he's like, yeah, so this is what happened. I was walking just in a neighborhood, my daily walk, trying to stay healthy, trying to stay fit. All of a sudden I see a police vehicle that pulls over, and the officer comes out and comes and talks to me and says, hey, look, I don't think what you're wearing is appropriate. You should really be, not walking around this way. And he goes, so jump in the car. Where are you parked? He goes, oh, I'm parked in, over here. He goes, okay, I'll drive you over there. So he does. He gets him in the car, drives him over there. And so, obviously I'm interested. I'm saying, well, did he give you a citation? Or because we're criminal defense lawyers. We're worried about, tickets and court dates and law enforcement investigations. And so I'm like, did you get a court date? Did you get a ticket? He goes, no, he didn't give me anything. He took my ID. He took down my info, but he didn't give me a ticket. And I said, okay, did he say that you were under arrest or anything? He goes, no, not at all. I'm like, okay, that's weird. He goes, but, I want to continue to be able to walk this way and get my exercise without being harassed by police. And I said, okay, well, look, you got to give me a little bit more about what you were wearing and why they were so concerned. So he goes, yeah, I was wearing thin, tight bicycle shorts. And I said, okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that. There's people who walk around that way. There's cyclists. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Not legally.
Not, right. Right. And so, of course, because unfortunately I have to do my due diligence in my research, I said, well, you got to send me a picture of what it is that you typically wear that's raising these flags and these concerns.
So committed to his job.
To your email or to your cell phone?
Not to my cell phone, fortunately. All official channels, my email. So I get this picture, and immediately I became aware of what some people might be concerned about. And what I later learned was that there is apparently, and I don't know if you want to call it a kink or something.
I want to call it a kink.
A kink where men who would like to show the outline of their member through the thin cycling shorts, they like to walk around. And so when he sent me that picture, it was very apparent what he was trying to do, which was, let's say, advertise what his mama gave him. So we...
Don't like peacocks do that or something? Like strutting, is that like the whole...
It's yes, it would be, I think, equivalent to the peacock. Good one.
This is a weird way to explain why you're on a no-fly list.
So I said, okay. I'm like, look, man, let me do a little bit of research. It was very apparent. I'm like, okay, is this like it's not indecent exposure? Is it lewd conduct? And so I'm reading the code sections. I'm doing some case law research. I'm putting together a memo. Then the next day he calls me. He's like, hey, I got a call from that cop. And I said, okay. I'm like, well, did he leave you a voicemail? He goes, yeah, he left me a voicemail. He just said, hey, this is officer and so, can you please call me back? And I said, okay, don't call him back. Give me his number, and I'm gonna, I'll reach out to him and kind of figure out what's going on. So this kind of started to sound like a typical criminal case, because now there's law enforcement contact and maybe they're doing additional investigation or a follow-up. So the day that goes by between me trying to finish up the memo and me calling the cop, the client ends up calling me back and he goes, hey, no need to call the cop back. And I'm like, well, why? He goes, well, I was at home the other day and I get a knock on the door and the cop's there at my doorstep. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, what did he, like, was he asking you questions? Were you trying to interrogate you? He goes, well, not exactly. He goes, he was in plain clothes and he said, I can't stop thinking about what you were wearing the other day. Would you like to go out?
Jesus.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, are you serious? He goes, yeah. I'm like, well, how do you know it was the same cop? He goes, dude, he was talking about the other day and I recognize his tattoos and like it was him. And I'm like, oh my God, what did you say? He goes, dude, I don't swing that way, but thank you.
Everything else does.
And I'm like, all right. I'm like, so, obviously there was a potential civil suit there, right? And even though we don't do civil, I was going to refer him to somebody who's capable of handling a case like that. And he's like, well, let me know. And I said, okay, well, just keep me updated. Let me know if you want a contact. And eventually the client decided, I don't want to ruin this guy's life. It sounds like he might have some, sexual identity issues. So
Opposed to me, who's doing great.
he goes, so I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm like, okay. So that was probably one of the first cases I got, and it was, a bit challenging, but we got through it.
And you stuck with it.
I stuck with it. Due diligence.
He said, now I know this is my calling.
Yeah.
Well, there's still one question remaining. Did he continue to go out and walk in that outfit of his?
Yeah, I suspect that he did. I later learned that there's a sort of a community that gentlemen like to walk around and be in public and draw attention to themselves in that capacity. And so I suspect he continued.
How'd you learn that?
Keyword suspect.
It's all hearsay.